I can't like have sex with you tonight. Like,
Who watches the watch list? Watch the watch list. We watch the watch list. Watch the watch list with Ethan and Jonah.
Hello and welcome to the Watch List with Ethan and Jonah. I'm Ethan.
I'm Jonah.
And tonight we are back with another double feature, which we're going to be talking about two horror anthology films, Creepshow and Body Bags.
Yes, we will start things off as they released with Creepshow. You know, came out 11 years before Body Bags. It is a kind of collaboration between George A. Romero and Stephen King.
Yeah, a classic in my book. You know, I know it was your first time watching, but this was an early horror film for me as a kid. Really, there's really nothing like it. As far as horror anthologies and just films in general really go, it's kind of ahead of its time in its kind of comic book presentation.
Yeah, very much so.
I mean, it's not technically a comic book adaptation because it is an original title, original stories, but it's playing off of the horror comics of the 1950s and kind of adapts that aesthetic with like really impressionistic like lighting and you know, there's comic book pages. They do the comic book pages before Ang Lee Hulk, you know?
Yep, and they do that like every once in a while when there's like a big moment, they'll do it like it's right in a comic, you know, they'll frame it with like a comic strip type frame.
Yeah, and they go from like the illustration into the film.
Yeah.
And when it ends, it goes back to illustration.
Now, I'm not sure, maybe you know, did they ever end up just making like Creepshow comics that ever like after this? Or
yeah, there's actually direct adaptations, and I'm pretty sure they ran a couple Creepshow comics. There are two sequels, which I've seen both of them. It's been years. The second one has like its fans. It's definitely not as good. It's directed by the cinematographer of Creepshow.
Okay.
And Romero comes back, he writes it. And I think Stephen King is on as producer, but not as writer. Because many of these stories in Creepshow are Stephen King short stories.
Yeah.
A couple of them, and then a few of them are originals. I think the one King is in.
That I'm most excited to talk about that one.
Yeah.
It's probably my favorite of the bunch.
Yeah, that was always a favorite of mine when I was a kid, and I remember watching this movie with my dad, and we'd always go, meteor shit. But we should tackle them in order, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
The first one, do we have the titles? I don't remember the titles. Let's see if they have
Does it have it on the back, or do we have to look it up? They've got. I think they've got all the.
So the first one's called Father's Day, and Father's Day is about a bad dad.
Yeah.
Who's killed by his daughter, and she comes to his house, visits his grave every Father's Day. But this Father's Day is different.
It's a little different this time.
She spills a little Jim Beam down in his grave and awakens.
It gives him the strength to come back and take his revenge.
Yeah, this was another big quote. Bedelia, where is my cake?
I think this one might be my least favorite of the bunch. And not to say that it's bad or anything, it's certainly got its moments.
It's a good opener.
Yeah. I feel like this one has the kind of the weakest setup in a way, like all the kind of characters they introduce within there, like I have no sense of like there's just for a short like horror thing, I feel like there's too many characters in it, and it's like not like it's that many, but like
yeah, and some of them are kind of a little useless, like because they kill off quite a bit of them, but then there's like 2 or 3 left by the end, and you know these anthologies they always have like that trouble of ending, but also it's kind of like the comic book,
right?
A lot of those horror comics, which I have a few. I should have brought out some of the horror comics.
Yeah, I love the zombie design and stuff, and the whole like him screaming about where's his cake, and like the whole kind of ending like frame that it ends on. It's just like you got like a young Ed Harris in it, and like just it's one of those things where I kind of wish he had more to do in it,
Yeah, he's just kind of there to. He's kind of the new person in the family just so we can get the exposition, the background story of everything told to him. But yeah, nobody really stands out acting-wise in the first one. You're kind of just waiting for this zombie to come and eat them all. Or kill them.
Whereas I feel like, the better parts of the anthology, you have kind of a big performance to latch on to.
Yeah.
Because with like many of these things, when you're telling a short story like that, the easiest way to have somebody connect to it is just have a big performance at the center of it.
Yeah. I guess we should talk a little bit about the prologue too, because it kind of...
Oh, yeah. You've got Stephen King's son.
Yeah, Joe.
Looking like him and his dad have the same exact haircut at this time.
Joe King.
Joe King. He's just joking.
He's just joking.
Did
they do that? Did they think about that? Is that why he goes by Joe Hill now?
I don't. Maybe that's why he did decide to go by Joe Hill.
Or like he just wanted to make his own way, without King as his last name.
I feel like maybe it's a little bit of both.
Yeah. But yeah, his dad, Tom Atkins, which there's 3 actors in this that will later be in The Fog. Is The Fog before this or after?
That's 82. A good question. I want to say it's probably after. I feel like The Fog is post The Thing, isn't it?
No, I think it's before The Thing.
Well, no. The Fog is 1980, so this is post Fog.
Post Fog. So you got Tom Atkins playing
Adrienne Barbeau.
Yeah, and Hal Holbrook, who plays the priest in The Fog.
Yeah.
But Tom Atkins is the dad, and he's like...
Adrienne Barbeau's in this one, too, and she's also in The Fog. She's not in this exact one, but she's in it later.
She's Hal Holbrook's wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. The opening, Tom Atkins is like, why are you reading this shit? These fucking comic books, you fucking piece of shit.
Yeah, it basically like insinuates that he's gonna beat the shit out of him if he finds any more comic books.
What does he say? He said, that's why God made fathers.
Yeah. To make, what was the exact, basically to just make them do right or something. Mothers are to nurture, and basically fathers are just there to beat their kids to keep them in line.
But yeah, Father's Day, Bedelia, where's my fucking cake? Bedelia, you bitch.
Yeah. Well, we should mention that in this opening that the kid says that he hopes his father rots in hell.
Oh, yeah.
And that's when the little creep comes up and flies in the window, smiles at the kid, and the kid smiles back.
He does like a little wave.
Yeah.
Like, hey. The kid's like, hell yeah.
And that'll circle back later at the end of the movie, but...
Yeah, we'll get back into that. So basically Father's Day, zombie dad comes back and he kills a few people.
Yeah, there's that part where when Ed Harris first goes out to find Bedelia, and he finds the bottle of Jim Beam and like shrugs his shoulders and like takes a sip, and then falls into the grave, and the the giant headstone starts moving, and he just lays there and stares at it, and I'm so confused because he has like so much time to move out of the way.
Yeah, he's frozen in fear.
He's just frozen there. He's waiting for it to fall on him, and that's how he dies. The gravestone just comes and crushes him.
Zombie dad uses a little telekinesis or something to move the stone.
So he's got ghost powers. We don't got to get into that.
Yeah, and then he, basically he just goes in and he turns that lady's head around. Snaps her neck.
Yep, all the way around.
That's cool.
There's like cool effects in this one. That's I think what kind of brings this one around for me, even though I was like really not, when it first started, I really just wasn't connecting to it at all. All of these shorts have kind of a common thing of like rich people getting their comeuppance though.
Yeah.
Like every single one of them is about kind of rich, affluent, upper echelon of society people.
The Stephen King one.
Yeah, besides that one.
Yeah, that's kind of the outlier. But yeah, zombie dad, he eventually comes in, he kills a few people and leaves his grandkids alive and presents them with a cake with their mom's head on it.
Yeah. Yeah, that he finally gets his cake.
Yeah, I got my cake.
You know, and maybe he gets to eat it too. We don't know.
Yep, we don't find out.
It goes to a comic strip, but I like to think that maybe he had his cake and ate it too, and,
Yeah,
and, you know, then he can go lay back down and have the best nap of his life.
Yeah, it's you know, it's a good opener.
It's a solid opener. Yeah.
But then we get to the lonesome death of Jordy Verrill.
And this is the meteor one.
Yeah, and this one is based on a short story called Weeds, I believe. Yeah, this one's a classic.
Yeah, this one possibly my favorite of the bunch.
Mhm.
It's got a what I can only describe as a sensitive and nuanced performance from the one and only Stephen King.
Yeah, full on hillbilly mode. You do see like a street sign at one point saying that they're in Castle Rock too, which is Stephen King's town, you know, that he writes in. It's basically a meteor just crashes outside and he's like, a meteor.
Yeah,
I can get a lot of money for this meteor.
He's like the epitome of like the slack-jawed yokel, you know.
Yeah.
He's Cletus from The Simpsons.
Yeah, basically.
And he keeps having these kind of like moments of fancy where he's like watching himself take his meteor into the meteor store or the meteor department, and he's like, I'm not taking any less than $200 for this.
Keep them coming. He's counting the money.
And it's like his like greatest aspirations of finding this meteor is $200. That's what really gets me.
Yeah. I mean, $200 goes a long way in 82.
Man, $200 goes a long way for me now. If I could somehow come into $200 right now, I mean, that's making my day.
You got to find a meteor.
Well, if I found a meteor, first thing I'm going to do is maybe get a pair of gloves, you know?
Yeah, because he touches it and it burns him.
Burns him.
And he starts immediately sucking on his fingers.
Yep. Bad move, you know? Yeah. We don't know what's on there. We don't know what kind of alien DNA is on there.
And he doesn't really think about it much. He cools it off with some water.
Washes it, yeah.
And it splits open and there's this goo inside that he dumps in the crater. And
bunch of blue goo. Reminded me of another little alien friend we talked about, earlier in the podcast.
Oh, yeah, Elmer.
Yeah, maybe Elmer was on that meteor. We don't know.
Yeah. So he takes the meteor in the bucket and he puts it on his porch and goes inside, and then things start getting weird.
Yeah, I mean, he starts to notice some weird green moss growing on his fingers, He has some more moments of fancy of like, back in the meteor department and, where after he breaks the meteor, the guy's like, you're so stupid, you broke it. I'm not giving you anything for this piece of junk.
Yeah.
And
immediately it's worthless because it's just broken.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like it's a rock from space still. I mean,
right.
But yeah, and he's watching TV, and he's having, he's watching TV and he looks at his fingers and he sees some moss growing on there. Maya. He's got to go put Maya to bed. She's being a little whiny dog, so So hey, what's up? Been up with you guys? You guys see any good movies lately? You want to comment? You like, comment, subscribe. Tell us to watch some movies. We'll watch them. I don't know, maybe. Unless you tell us to watch movies we don't want to watch, then we won't watch them. So I'm sorry.
Is there anybody out there?
Is there anybody out there? We've been doing this now for 3 weeks, and and it's just not happening yet. And I just think it's time for you guys to step up to the plate here and help us out a little bit, okay?
Yeah, it's time to subscribe. It's time to like. It's time to comment, people.
Yeah.
This is gonna be episode 5. That's episode 5.
Yeah, I mean, if you count the first episode.
Yeah, that's a soft pilot.
It's a deep cut, but
if you watched episode 1, comment below that you loved it.
Yeah, or if you hated it, please don't say anything. It'll hurt our feelings.
But yeah, back to the lonesome death of Jordy Verrill. He's covered in moss.
Yeah, he has the realization as he's like sees everything he touched where like moss is growing on it, and then he like goes up to his mouth because he had sucked on his fingers.
Yeah,
and he's like, "Oh, you idiot, you idiot!" And then he like I think that's where he has the kind of moment where he envisions himself going to the doctor, right?
And they got to chop off his fingers.
Right.
And the doctor has a big old cleaver, of course.
Yeah, I mean, that's an instrument a doctor really is like, you need to get something amputated, just meat cleaver.
Meat cleaver, that'll do it.
Yeah.
But he, and then after that, he chugs a bunch of vodka.
Yeah, he gets his orange juice, dumps like half a bottle of vodka into it, and it's just like, all right, this is fucked up.
He says, I needed that.
Yeah. And you know what? He did need that. I'm gonna go out and say it. He probably did need that more than anybody else in the entire world because, you ever just like have a moment where like, something's going wrong with your body and then you just like are really anxious about it and you just like, you realize like, oh fuck, is it because I did this?
Yeah.
And, I think like, there's the kind of really broad aspect of him being this dumb hillbilly that like is appealing within it and funny. But there is that relatability of like, when you just have like a mystery illness and you're really anxious about it.
Yeah. And you kind of don't want to get help. You think it might get better, but it's like, oh shit, this is out of my control.
Yeah.
And he just wants relief because he's starting to get really itchy.
Yeah.
And, basically, this just goes on for a little bit, and he is covered. He's got a beard of moss.
Yeah. He starts running a bath after this.
He sees his dad in the mirror.
Yeah, and his dad's like, "Don't you get in that water, boy."
And that guy, from what I understand, is like a legendary Pittsburgh actor. Because this film was shot in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Romero is famous for making all of his movies in Pittsburgh, where he's from. Ever since Night of the Living Dead, he's kind of always stuck to that area and made all of his movies there.
Yeah, here's another. Romero's a bit of a blind spot for me. Yeah. I haven't seen like Dawn of the Dead or Night of the Living Dead or any of that.
Really? You've never seen
really?
Those?
So we eventually need to dig into that because I have a large blind spots with a lot of older horror movies because I never started watching horror movies until I was probably like 16 years old.
Yeah.
And then like I've watched more of them now than I did then. But
you've never seen Night of the Living Dead?
No, I haven't.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so we're gonna do Night of the Living Dead and Mimesis Night of the Living Dead, right?
I just rewatched Dawn of the Dead pretty recently, and that movie holds up. It's a great zombie movie.
I would love to see that because literally I've only ever seen the Snyder Dawn of the Dead,
which is good,
which I like. Yeah. It's enjoyable. It's maybe his best movie, but
and that is an example of like a solid remake where they just take the concept, but it's new characters. They're not really retreading on the old film in any way. It's just like it's also in a mall.
Well, yeah, I think part of the magic of that movie too is just like having James Gunn writing the script for it with his kind of
it has a killer opening too. Yeah, the zombie outbreak, but Day of the Dead has always been my favorite.
Yeah,
I love Day of the Dead.
I've seen one of them. It's the one with Leguizamo in it, and I don't remember what
Land
it is.
of the Dead.
Land of the Dead, and that one I don't remember being very good at all. But
no, that's the weaker one.
Yeah.
of them. I think I've seen all of them, even like the really bad like Diary of the Dead and the ones he made later on in his career. But yeah, Romero's The Crazies. Have you ever seen The Crazies?
I haven't. There's that. We were gonna do a school assignment, not about Romero's The Crazies.
Oh, yeah.
But the remake of The Crazies, where our directing teacher showed us this video from The Crazies remake where it was a scary thing happening, and then they showed you like 4 different angles of that same thing happening. Like the thing they do in like XXX with explosions.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is an exercise we're going to do. You guys are going to do this. And we were going to get so nuts with it.
Yeah.
We were going to get so nuts with the angles. And I was maybe the most excited I was ever to do an assignment there. And then right before
Fucking COVID happened.
Goddamn COVID.
The zombie outbreak happened.
I'll never forget not being able to do that project because I feel like me, you, and Brendan were all so excited to make the worst piece of shit on the planet for that assignment.
Just like a million cuts in a second.
Oh yeah. And it never came to fruition. But
we would put the Taken fence jump to shame.
Oh yeah, I think we should still do it. I think we should do that.
Yeah, we could do it.
Well, when we're on vacation here. Let's do that assignment.
Because the more cuts, the more intense your movie is. Everybody knows
that more cuts makes your movie more better.
Yeah. The more cuts, the better. The more intense, the more... If you have more shots, people like it better.
Yes. And if there's anything I learned from film school is that, if you're writing a script and you don't know where to take it, I don't know, maybe it was just all a dream. I don't know.
Maybe it was all a dream, and maybe you should text one of your students really late at night.
Yeah, maybe, you should be like, hey, you up?
Anyway, is there anything else you wanted to say about Jordy Verrill?
I will say I really enjoy Stephen King in this. I kind of wish he had done more acting back then. I don't know how much cocaine he was on at the time. Probably all of it. Mm-hmm. But you know what, Stephen? I enjoyed your performance. I thought it was pretty funny. Yeah. And I think you could do a lot more comedic roles like that.
Yeah, he the short ends with him being a giant Swamp Thing monster, and he blows his head off.
Blows his head off with a shotgun, and it's just a puff of grass, and he looks like lawn clippings with a shotgun in his hand. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool. Good effects. After that, we have Something to Tide You Over.
Yes, we have a terrific Leslie Nielsen in this one.
Yeah, very menacing.
Yes. Which, we're aware of his origins as like a soap opera star. Mm-hmm. But I feel like for most people now, the legacy of Leslie Nielsen is much different. I mean, ever since Airplane, 2 years before this movie, his entire persona is changed forever. Nobody remembers that Leslie Nielsen was like a dramatic soap opera star.
Yeah. What soap opera was he on?
I am not sure. I would have to look that up. I just know that's kind of his background. Mm-hmm. And you can see that in this. He's giving a very kind of menacing, soap opera villain performance. Yeah. That totally works.
His wife is cheating on him.
Yeah.
And who is it? Who's the guy in it?
Ted Danson.
Yes, Ted Danson, not in blackface.
Not in black, noticeably.
Yeah,
except for maybe a little bit at the end. It was hard to tell.
Noticeably off camera, he was probably in blackface.
Yeah, I think off camera when he was taking his smoke breaks or whatever, he probably popped a little on.
Yeah, that old Ted Danson. Oh.
Ted Danson, man, he can't get enough.
Everybody loves Ted Danson, but we forget there was a time.
Yeah, I mean, he's the dude from Cheers, man.
He's the dude from Cheers.
He was in the biggest sitcom of all time at the time, Yeah. It's honestly a bit surprising that he never got any bigger than he was.
Right, he's kind of like a household name just because of that era of sitcom.
Mm-hmm. And he was in 3 Men and a Baby, and his movie career never really worked out.
But there, Leslie Nielsen buries his head, buries his body,
body in the sand, has a gun pointed at him. Mm-hmm. We get the sense that this guy slept with Leslie Nielsen's wife, and now he's basically just gonna kill both of them.
Yeah, he's gonna wait till the tide rises.
He's like, I'm a rich guy who owns my own private beach. They're never gonna find these people. Mm-hmm. I do want to talk a bit more about Leslie Nielsen here, because it is just as somebody who's never really seen any of his dramatic work, I love his comedic work. Naked Gun. Maybe one of my favorite movies of all time. I watch it. I could watch it endlessly, and it never gets old. I think his performance in this isn't. It's maybe turned 2 degrees more serious.
Yeah.
But that's what like works so well about him in a comedy is that he can deliver those ridiculous lines or deliver his lines in ridiculous situations and just keep it so deadpan.
Like, this is like the first 2 were comedically toned, but this one is kind of like dark.
Really? Yeah.
Like when he
weirdly, because this is the one that has 2 kind of comedy stars from the time.
Yeah, when he brings that TV onto the sand and he's like making Ted Danson watch his lover get the tide over their head and she's like drowning, it's kind of disturbing.
Yeah, and then like he ends up leaving and he just goes and watches it on his TV monitors in the home and he's just like pouring a drink and laughing like he's very menacing and like intimidating presence in it.
Yeah, great house.
Oh yeah. Great rich guy house that guy's got.
Yeah, he's got so many TVs,
yeah,
hidden TVs.
So many security cameras he's got. I mean, this is 82. Like, this guy's got state-of-the-art technology for the time.
Oh, yeah. But there's that one shot where Ted Danson gets fully submerged.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, like the red light glowing behind him.
Yeah, and there's like...
kind of this preview of what's to come later after that.
Yeah, because once they drown, which they do, Leslie Nielsen goes back to the beach and he's like, the tide took him out.
Yeah, but we noticeably see the bucket back on the shore, whereas earlier there's the shot of the bucket kind of floating out to sea.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like there's no way that he was pulled all the way out, you know?
Yeah.
And then like he goes back to his mansion and we kind of get these creeping shots of like looking outside on the security footage and Leslie Nielsen's going about doing stuff in his house. He's getting ready.
You see the footprints in the sand too, coming up from the water.
He's getting ready for bed. He's taking a shower and then we just kind of see shadows creep behind the windows. And it's very, very reminiscent sometimes of The Fog, the way that these come in, because like before they reach his door, they've been turned into these like vengeful drowned spirits.
Yeah. And there's a fog that rolls in.
There's a fog that rolls in, and much like The Fog. And it feels kind of intentional, especially since there's 3 actors from The Fog cast in this. It feels like it's something they definitely watched, you know?
Yeah. I love the look of these ghouls too.
Yeah.
You know, they're sopping wet. They got
seaweed in their hair.
Yeah, they're really gross,
really
looking.
Wrinkly.
And Leslie Nielsen shoots at them, and like there's like green blood that
and
comes
water,
from them.
like
and
water pours out of them too.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. They kill him.
Yeah, they kill him, and you know that's the end of that one. That is like it's the main thing to me. Like these anthologies are very God damn it, I gotta quit touching that. These anthologies are like, you know, very enjoyable to watch, but like I think it's the problem with so many anthologies is that like once it reaches an end point, you're kind of just like, oh, okay.
Yeah. They're just fun.
Yeah.
It's like this movie's just a fun time. It's very you know, creative the way they shot it and with all the lighting that changes that they do, and they went the extra mile to like make it look like a comic book, which is cool.
Absolutely.
Which sets it apart from a lot of things. Like even the special effects makeup is very reminiscent of like those covers from that time. And you know, I'm a sucker for those horror comics. I love those covers and everything.
For my money, there's just no like kind of horror anthology that's ever going to touch the original run of the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Like, not to say that every single one of those episodes is great, but like with those great episodes, like it's just like there's never been an anthology made that's more compelling than that to me.
Yeah, it's different with movies. Like we still get horror anthologies.
Yeah,
like,
I mean you got like your Black Mirror. It's not necessarily horror all the time, but like VHS. They're like
the Del Toro one.
Yeah, they like most of the time feel a bit trashier in a way now. Like these are very cartoonish and stuff, but they had like these huge names behind them, like George A. Romero and Stephen King, John Carpenter and Tobe Hooper. Like,
well, there's a Creepshow television show now too.
Is there?
On Shudder, and it's who's the guy, the Walking Dead guy, the makeup guy?
Greg Nicoretto?
Yeah, he does
or
it.
Nicotero?
Nicotero. Yeah, that's his show.
Okay.
So I've seen a few episodes and it's pretty well done. Kind of they keep the spirit of this movie going with those episodes, and you have a lot of practical effects being used in monster makeup and all that. I'd like to watch more of it. It's on Shudder.
There's a lot of fun stuff on Shudder these days.
Yeah, Shudder's great. I have a subscription. It's one of the few that I pay for because I love horror. I love trashy horror too.
Yeah, they got a lot of trashy stuff, and that's really fun. And then like they also had stuff on there like Resurrection a couple of years ago that just like I think is great.
Mm-hmm.
Like, feel like nobody knows that movie, but like it's got like this. I mean, Rebecca Hall is one of our finest actors, and as well as a crazy Tim Roth performance. That like, check out Resurrection if you haven't. It's a
good
wild
movie.
ride.
Good movie. Also, Kids versus Aliens.
Haven't seen that one yet.
That one's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Psycho Goreman.
You've been telling me to watch that one.
Psycho Goreman's pretty good. They got
is Frankie Frico on there yet?
Frankie Frico's on there now. I just got a notification.
Definitely watch that then.
Yeah, literally yesterday I got a notification that they added that.
Yeah, it's about like a rock and roll goblin.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty excited to watch that. I love rock and roll. I love goblins. So
he's just a party guy,
he's like a guy who likes to party, and we like to party.
Maybe we should do Frankie Frico and Munchie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Do a double bill of that.
Yeah, I'd be down for maybe closer to October.
Yeah.
We're trying to maybe do some stuff that's not these horror movies a couple times here. We got some stuff coming up down the tank, but we're both big fans of horror movies and B movies, and
they're fun to talk about. And like if you don't feel like watching a movie, you throw on a horror film and you're like, this is good.
Especially
I like
something like an anthology, because like if you don't feel like watching a movie, you can throw on an anthology, and like it's so much easier to digest in that way because you're getting a new story like every 20 minutes. It's like how it's so much easier to watch fucking 5 episodes of TV than to watch a 3-hour movie for some reason.
Right, or scroll through
scroll on your phone for 4 hours.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the thing I love about anthologies is when I like don't want the commitment of maybe I'm really tired or something and I just want to watch something kind of and not have to be tuned into every second of it.
Yeah.
You can throw on something like this because anytime when one of them isn't really piquing your interest, you can just kind of be like,
Yeah, I would like to watch the VHS series. I've seen the first one many years ago.
First one. I might have seen the second one. There's a couple good ones in there.
There's a lot of really solid directors that do that.
You've got the
David Bruckner does a few of them. Just like a lot of newer voices in horror and people that come from like those like that mumblecore era.
Yeah.
That do the horror films, like who's that guy that did King Kong? Guy from Michigan. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, the Skull Island guy?
Yeah.
I know I don't know what his name is.
He started in that field. Ty West also, all those guys. But anyway, the next one is The Crate.
The Crate. I love this one.
The Crate is fantastic. This one has always been freaky, like that freaky little monster in the crate under the stairs.
Yeah, he's like we're getting into it a little early, but he's like a tiny little Yeti.
Yeah. From Antarctica.
He comes from Antarctica.
Mm-hmm.
And, when I first see the design of him, I was like, wait, how's that whole guy in that crate? Because you see the top half of him and you expect him to be like really big.
You never really see the bottom half of him.
But he's basically just the top half of him.
Yeah. This one is the one with Hal Holbrook and Barbeau. And Hal Holbrook is an interesting actor to me because I was first exposed to him from the movie Into the Wild, where he plays a 100-year-old man.
Another one you've been telling me to watch that I haven't seen yet.
I've always loved that movie, and his performance in Into the Wild is incredible.
Yeah.
Like, it is really one of the best, performances from an elderly person I've ever seen.
Is he the guy that Chris McCandless kind of meets on the road and is like sort of a fatherly figure to him in Alaska or wherever?
It's in New Mexico, or it's in the desert. It's when he learns how to make like leather work, like do the belts and stuff.
It's been I've read the book. It's been a long time ago, but
yeah, and incredible performance, really, like just tear-jerking, fantastic performance at such a late stage in his career. No, and then there's The Fog, which I never really clocked him in that, and then only a few years ago I was like, oh shit, that's the guy from Into the Wild. And then recently I had watched this movie called Rituals, which is Hal Holbrook and a couple people. They're like doctors that go in the woods camping, and then like people are fucking with them, and there's like a crazy person trying to kill him and stuff. It's not a great film. It has some decent moments, but it never really goes as wild and crazy as you want it to go. But yeah, he's always a solid actor, and he's pretty funny in this because he hates his wife.
Oh yeah, he's typical boomer, man. He hates his wife, and man, he loves to fantasize about killing her.
Yeah, there's a scene at the party where he pulls out the gun,
shoots
and they're
her
all
in
like,
the head, and everybody starts clapping. Nice shot!
Oh, that's a great shot. Nice job. Yeah, and then he fantasizes about strangling her. But basically, his friend gets called because a janitor finds a crate under the stairs.
Do we know who the guy who plays his friend is? Because I thought he was really good in this too.
I don't know his name.
There's a lot of these guys that like Hal Holbrook who like pop up and are familiar to you, but you maybe don't know their name.
Yeah.
And that guy feels familiar to me. I don't know if I've seen him in anything else, but I thought he was like a pretty compelling presence in it too.
Yeah. It's a great short, but basically they pop open this crate and this monster eats the janitor, and then this professor's like, holy shit, runs to Hal Holbrook's house.
Well, he runs upstairs in the school, and there's like a student there after hours, and he takes him down there, and they see all the blood and everything, and the crate's been dragged back underneath the stairs because the Yeti thing drug it back under there. And the guy goes to get the eaten up shoe because he's like, I'm going to measure the bite marks.
Yeah, and that nerd gets it.
That nerd gets it. He gets eaten.
Yeah, great shot of the Yeti like biting into his neck and then slashing his face. He's got like this big gash on him.
Yeah, there's some really gnarly practical effects in these shorts.
I really didn't remember how violent this movie is, but they really go for it.
I feel like they really up that in that short. You know, that's the one that really has that shock violence at first. And then, you know, that after that is when the professor runs back to his buddy Hal Holbrook's house. Yeah. Because they're supposed to play chess that night anyways.
And he tells him what's going on, and Hal Holbrook's like, this would be a perfect way to kill my wife.
Yeah, he's like, oh, that's cool about the monster in the crate, buddy. I'll go check it out for you. Did he like, he drugs him so he falls asleep so he can go kill his wife. And
leaves her a note.
It's a bit convoluted. Like, he leaves his wife a note, and I guess like you get the sense that if there's like a scandal going on, like his wife can't resist, go check it out. Like, he basically lures her in by saying like, oh, you know, my buddy the professor, like, he's been getting involved with students, you know, since his wife died, which, you know, we do see him at the party at first kind of flirting with a young woman.
Right.
And so he's like, something bad happened this time. You know, you're good in situations like this. You gotta come to the college.
Yeah. Talk to this girl.
And while this is going on, you know, he's down in the basement. He's cleaning up all the blood and
a lot of work to go through.
Yeah. He's doing a lot. And, you know, Yeti guy, he must be full. He's not coming out to go eat him or anything. He's just chilling in his box, maybe chewing on bones, picking his teeth, whatever.
Yeah. Maybe having dessert.
He's having a dessert. He had a slice of pumpkin pie he'd been saving for 3 Thanksgivings, and
now he's having a little after dinner cocktail.
Yeah, he made himself a Manhattan, maybe,
a little chocolate martini.
He's just chilling there. Maybe he's reading a book. I don't know.
Yeah, he's doing a crossword.
Doing a crossword puzzle. But so Hal Holbrook, he cleans up the scene of this, violent murder.
Yeah. Double homicide.
So that his wife can get there and everything looks normal.
Yeah. And then he's like, why don't you go under the stairs?
The lady he assaulted, she's under the stairs. She won't come up. And he's laughing. She's like, what's so funny? He's like, that's the funny thing. She's under the stairs. She won't come out. And his wife, I guess, just goes along with the fact that, this woman has supposedly been assaulted. And
this poor imaginary woman who everybody's like, what's the hot gossip?
What's the hot goss here? I mean, we got a lady who's been sexually assaulted. She's hiding under the stairs. That's really funny to us.
Yeah, really insensitive approach.
But he's not a great guy. He really wants to murder his wife. And you know what? I get it. They don't get along, right? She's definitely an alcoholic.
And as we know, boomers, they can't divorce their wives. They have to kill them.
You can't get a divorce because then God would kill you, I think, is what it is. I think God would kill you if you get a divorce. So, you got to kill your wife instead. And then God would be like, yeah, man, that's cool.
Yeah, nice job. So,
sick job, dude.
Yeah, the little monster, he comes out and he eats her. He attacks her. And then Hal Holbrook locks up the crate and decides... dump it in the quarry.
Yeah, man, I was going to take this crate with the little monster in it and dump it in the quarry.
Which is a perfect place to dispose of anything.
Well, yeah, I mean, what do you got? You got used car batteries. You got a car that you need to get rid of. A tire.
Tire's classic.
Find the nearest quarry and chuck that shit in there, man. Look, we're not sponsored by Big Quarry, but I think we should be.
If there's a quarry near you, check out this podcast and
and check out your local quarry and I don't know, maybe throw some garbage in there. I don't know.
Yeah, so he throws a little monster down there and then he goes back to his buddy, the professor, and he
explains the whole dirty and all the dirty details. He's like, I cleaned up your mess so nobody would come for you. And I killed my wife too and nobody's ever going to find out.
Yeah. You're not going to say anything, are you? And he goes, what are friends for? And then we go, we're underwater.
Yep.
And Hal Holbrook promised that he locked up this crate, but that little guy, he got out.
He busted through the crate.
Apparently, he could have done that the whole time.
No, probably. He definitely could have. I just think he liked it there. It was his home, It's been his home for a long time. It had like 1800 something written on the side of the crate. He'd been in that crate for a long time. It's probably been sitting under the stairs for 100 years,
Yeah. But that's basically the end of the crate. A great one. It's very enjoyable.
I think that one's really fun. And there's some gnarly practical effects, and you get a cool big gorilla costume thing. So, yeah, it's always good.
And then after that, we have.
What do we have after that?
Oh, they're creeping up on you.
This is the bug. This is the last one.
This is the last one.
Okay.
This one, who is this actor?
I don't know. I like him a lot, though.
He's got like Peter Boyle vibes. You know Peter Boyle?
Peter Boyle.
He, God, what would you?
Who he kind of reminded me of is Mark Margolis from like in his Breaking Bad years as the guy in the wheelchair.
Yeah, kind of that vibe.
He had that same hairstyle going on.
Yeah, but basically, this is another rich guy with an apartment, and he's got a bug problem.
Yeah, it's like the worst apartment in the world. Everything is white. He needs everything. Everything's got to stay sanitary. He's wearing his white gloves.
He's a clean freak.
And he has this phone conversation about basically this guy who he's done a hostile takeover of his business has killed himself. He's like, well, good. That's gonna make things a lot easier. He's got no sympathy. He's got a bug problem and he's trying to get it fixed. Yeah, absolutely. And he's gonna get his comeuppance because why wouldn't he?
Yeah.
and we see like throughout him mistreating like the maintenance guy that comes over and talks to him with the big smile through the
people,
door.
the like magnified people.
And like the guy's like, yeah, man, like that's why people of your race, they work these jobs. Like he's a really racist old man.
Yeah, he sucks.
And he he doesn't care that he's drove a man to suicide. And all he cares about is his little stock numbers and his clean apartment. Yeah. Like I get the sense that he hasn't left his apartment in a long time. Yeah, and he just for some reason needs to keep making money. Yeah. I guess so he can keep paying for his outrageous white room that he lives in.
Yeah, just he has like a jukebox in there and that's it.
Yeah. And we do see cockroaches keep popping up kind of one by one and he's killing them and he's trying to get pest control to come out there. And then the guy's wife who killed himself gives him a call. And he basically is just like, good riddance,
Yeah. I guess I could fire him, but
he's already dead. Yeah. Laughs in her face, and she basically tells him, I hope you die.
Yeah. And he, this one, if you don't like bugs, cockroaches, this is the one for you.
I'm not a big fan of bugs, or I'm not a big fan of cockroaches. I am a big fan of bugs, though.
Yeah. And as a person who has lived in an apartment that has had a cockroach problem, this is disgusting.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
Killing those motherfuckers is a bitch, but once you do it, it's very satisfying. But yeah, just seeing all of them like coming up the drain, and they really spared no expense with the roaches.
Oh yeah, they had every type of cockroach in there. They had the big palmetto bugs, they had the African hissing roaches, and Germans. They had all types of roaches in there. That guy had every kind of roach infestation you could have.
Oh, when I was at the other day, they took apart one of the printers and there were just like 20 roaches that just poured out of there.
Yeah.
And seeing that many roaches in one area, just like my skin was crawling the rest of the night.
That's the thing they don't tell you about like the South, or just like, I don't know if it's just Georgia or what.
Yeah, it's the South. Like Georgia, Florida is really bad too. There's just roaches everywhere.
Roaches everywhere.
You go outside and they scatter. It's disgusting. It's like you just every once in a while you'll get like one of those big palmettos in your house and you're just like, fuck.
Yeah, I mean, they're gross. I'd rather see one of them in there than the little guys, because at least when it's one of those, it's usually just one of them.
Yeah. I never had to deal with roaches till I moved down south. And they're everywhere.
They're a gross bug, and this is coming from a guy who just today had a spider crawling on his hand for like a half hour. So roaches are gross. Get rid of them. Yeah. Other bugs are cool, though. I'm fine with them.
Yeah, and the roaches fill his apartment, and they crawl all over him, and he finds refuge in his bedroom, shuts the door, and everything seems to be fine. He's away from the roaches. He looks down, the bed is moving.
Yeah.
And roaches just all over the place in the bed. A very gruesome death.
Yeah, he ends up just getting completely covered, but then like later we see like a puppet of him there's like bugs busting out of like wounds. Like he's like, all the bugs have gone inside of his body now. And it's just like, the rot that has taken this man from the inside. It's like, he's very much a man full of bugs, in his day-to-day life. And maybe the wife of that man really cursed him with something, because.
Yeah. And you see the bedroom like full, like 2 feet of bugs.
Yeah. So many roaches.
And I read that Tom Savini, who did the makeup effects for this, that they filled the room with like raisins and nuts. That's what they used for all, like that many bugs. But there is a lot of real cockroach work in this, and props to the filmmakers.
Yeah.
For I don't know how they wrangled them and kind of contained this. I know they shot many of these segments in a school where they built sets, it was like an all boys school or something like that. And this was one that they built a set, and I just hope to God that school didn't become infested with roaches after, because Yikes.
Yeah, no shit.
But then we have, after this, we have the epilogue.
Yeah, we go back to the boy and his father, right?
Yeah.
We have two garbage men.
One of them's Tom Savini.
And they find the Creepshow comic book,
Mm-hmm.
and they're looking through the the ads in there, and they're like, "Oh, look, a voodoo doll." They're like, "Oh no, somebody already sent for it."
Yeah. And then we cut to the kid, and he's stabbing the voodoo doll that he made of his dad, and his dad's like,
"Yeah," and that's it.
That's Creepshow.
He wants to kill his dad with a voodoo doll, and you know what, kid, I support it. Okay, if your dad is mean to you, you should get a voodoo doll and try to kill him with it. You know,
yeah, Creepshow.
Don't kill your parents' kids. It's not cool.
Creepshow. It's classic. 2 thumbs up. Whatever.
Yeah,
go get your snapper case of Creepshow.
I enjoyed it. I maybe have slightly less fondness for you. I think maybe if it was something that I had seen when I was, at the age that you saw it, I'd have more kind of nostalgia towards it. But it's a fun movie for me, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, great effects, good movie, funny. Yeah. Up next we have Body Bags. Body Bags is an anthology, came out in 1993, directed by John Carpenter and Tobe Hooper. And Body Bags rules.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Body Bags. We have the kind of middle segments with our host, who is John Carpenter.
Yeah, doing the wraparounds.
Like this deranged mortician.
He's having a ball.
He's drinking formaldehyde, and he's doing a bunch of gross stuff, and like he looks gross. They've done his makeup up to make him look like a corpse himself.
And John Carpenter hated doing this because the makeup took so long to shoot. He hated it. But he really he wouldn't know. He doesn't act very often.
Yeah.
He's in all of his movies, just as really small roles. I think the biggest role he has is in The Fog, where he has a speaking part at the beginning with Hal Holbrook. But what a great presence.
Absolutely.
Body Bags was originally going to be a television show.
It's one of those things where I watch it and I'm like, I wish I could see, an episode of this every week with this guy, introducing the episode to me.
And it's such it's a great kind of format where the mortician is going through and looking at all the bodies, and then he opens the body bag and he's like, well, what happened to this guy? And then we go into the story.
Yeah, he keeps looking at all the other ones. He's like, natural causes.
Yeah.
He's like, ooh, a body bag. These are where they get interesting. If there's a murder or something bad happens,
foul play,
there's a body bag.
And the first segment, directed by John Carpenter. It's a very solid first one. The gas station, I think it's called.
Yeah, I mean, I think, once again, one of those kind of scary situations that many people could relate to, of working alone late at night in a place like that. Mm-hmm. It's like one of those off the highway gas stations in the middle of the nowhere, where it's just a little booth, and then you have maybe a mechanic shop over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's this lady starting her first night on the job at this little gas station.
And we hear on the radio that a psychopath is on the loose.
Yes.
Very, very reminiscent of Halloween, which they do say in here that this is in Haddonfield, which is where
I didn't pick
Michael
up on that.
Myers kills people. So,
yeah.
She goes to her job, and she's relieved by this guy, who his name is Bob or
Brian,
something like that.
Might be Brian.
And we're like, oh yeah, this is the guy relieving her. Okay, peace. He leaves. He's like, call me if anything happens, if something bad happens. And so it sets up. We learn about the psychopath. We have this tension that she's alone on her first night shift. So every customer that comes she's paranoid.
Yeah, I mean, her very first customer is like the worst creep on the planet.
The Wes Craven.
Yeah,
that's Wes Craven.
I didn't even notice that.
The guy who's like pack of cigarettes.
Yep.
And he's like, "Why don't you come have a drink with me?" or something like that.
Yeah, he's like trying to get her to come out of the booth.
Yeah, just a creep, and great cameo by Wes Craven to pop in and play that role. And then we just go on and on, like different customers, and we're like, "Is this the killer?"
Yeah, when you get that homeless guy, is before that you get the handsome guy who comes up and
leaves his
card.
Yeah.
So there's that kind of thread where that's where she first runs out
and
of the building
out.
and accidentally locks herself outside of it because she doesn't bring the key. And that's when the homeless guy comes stumbling up.
Well, yeah, and then she has to go and get the spare key. She knocks over a picture.
Yeah,
she picks
who's
it up.
in that picture but Sam Raimi.
Sam Raimi, and what's on his name tag?
The same name.
Brian or Bob or whatever his name
it's
is.
something.
It starts with a B. And we're like, oh, the audience knows now.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. We're
There's
connecting the dots
something's
here.
going on.
Something's afoot.
But she ends up getting the key, the spare key. She gets back in and gives the homeless guy the bathroom key. And that's when that cowboy man and his girl roll up. And the guy's like, "You got a bathroom?" She's like, "Yeah, actually, there's a weird guy in the bathroom. If you can go check on him, please, and let me know what he's doing."
He's like, he's just sleeping. I had to piss over his head.
Yep. And then she's like, "Did you bring the key back?" He's like, "Hanging in the door." Couldn't even bring the key back for her,
And she goes back to the bathroom, and there's like a pretty metal drawing.
Yeah, there's this really cool drawing of like a demon chopping off somebody's head. And like,
she's freaked out by it, but I was like, that's pretty cool.
That's pretty fucking cool.
Whoever drew that.
But I guess if I was a woman alone at night at a gas station and there's a murder, and I've heard on the radio there's a murderer on the loose, I'd be like, maybe somebody's trying to kill me tonight. This feels very ominous.
Every time she leaves the booth, they're like, don't, stop.
Yeah, stay in there. Stay in there.
No big deal. Just stay in there. Those people can handle the pumps themselves.
Yep. And, she goes in there and the homeless guy's not in there.
Yeah, he's gone. She goes back into the booth. And that is when... I don't know.
Oh, doesn't she then? She sees like something in the mechanic shop, right? And she goes to check it out.
Oh, that's right.
And that's where the homeless guy's body is sitting dead in the front seat of a truck.
Yeah, that's right.
And we're like, oh shit. He's not the killer. He's not the killer. And at this point, I actually was still thinking it's just like I thought I was gonna go like the most obvious route of it being the Wes Craven guy at first. I think until I kind of was like, oh no, it's probably probably the guy who...
You didn't clock the photo.
I didn't. I clocked the photo, but I was too focused with the fact that it was Sam Raimi that I didn't read the name tag the first time.
Yeah.
And so... But I think before he shows up, I'm like, oh yeah, it's probably the guy who gave her the number and everything. And that's when he shows back up.
Well, she calls the number that he gave her.
Yeah, and it goes to the desk
shop
where Sam Raimi's picture is. And he picks it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great moment.
Yeah. And then he comes out with the sledgehammer.
That's a great shot of him like smashing through the window.
So like, I mean, you could stay locked in the booth, but like a crazy man's going to break in there with a sledgehammer. So that's where she's kind of cowering, and she goes and she's like opening up the cabinets just to like try to find something to defend herself with. And she gets to like the last one, and Sam Raimi's dead body falls out of it.
Yeah.
But then, Psycho Killer Man gets in there and she like whacks him in the head with a chair, and he is down.
He's down, and she runs out. And
there's like multiple times where he gets back up, and then like he goes to kill her, and then he like loses his marbles again and falls back over. Like,
he's rattled.
You're like, totally is like, if you got hit in the face with a chair like that, like, I don't think you're doing anything for a few minutes. Like, no matter how hard you try.
And then she gets back into the mechanic shop. And
there is like a gnarly when it happens, like of the blood kind of coming out of his like broken nose. That's really cool too.
And then there's like a tussle, she hides a little bit, it's kind of a cat and mouse thing.
Yeah.
And just some great, directing by Carpenter. He doesn't, doing a lot of his old tricks that he used in Halloween, a lot of handheld.
Yeah. And then the guy who forgot his card, he comes back.
But she kills him. He doesn't really do much.
He just kind of tackles him off to the side a little bit and gives her enough time to kind of get her bearings back.
And a great death scene.
Oh,
like
yeah,
the car and just like an insane amount of blood.
He gets knocked down.
Out.
He gets knocked down underneath the car lift, the truck lift, and she lowers it back down on him, and it's just like an insane amount of blood. Like you get the overhead of just the top half of his body and the truck going down, and just like this inhuman amount of blood just spraying out. It's so cool. Which the guy who forgot his card, that's somebody.
Yeah, that is somebody.
What? I'm gonna look up who he is real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's somebody.
Yeah, I really do wish that this went to series.
Yeah, me too, absolutely.
And Showtime, they told Carpenter that it wasn't going to series while they were making them, and they're like, it's just a movie, so figure it out, because this wasn't released theatrically; it was released as a TV movie.
Okay, it's the one guy from American Werewolf in London, I think.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay,
the other guy that's not Griffin Dunn.
Yeah. Yeah, I love this one. This one's really good. I think this is like the fan favorite.
Yeah,
although it's not my favorite, but I do love it. It's great.
Yeah.
But most like the consensus is that this one's the best.
All around, I do think it's probably the most kind of solid one.
Mm-hmm.
I think this next one would be my favorite if like it kind of stuck its landing. I don't feel like the second one really sticks its landing, but I love the comedy leading up to the end of it.
Yeah.
This next one is about an older man played by Stacy Keach, who is balding. He's thinning, and he's very insecure about it.
Yeah.
His girlfriend, his lady, she keeps telling him like, yeah, quit making yourself look like an ass. Just you're a thinning man, okay? Mm-hmm. Deal with it. Like it's fine. You can be thinning. All this stuff you're doing to try to cover up is making you look like a jackass.
Yeah, he like paints his head.
Toupee. Tries to do a comb it over, tries a toupee. Like he's trying all the tricks in the book, which is like, yeah, man, losing your hair, it's not great, okay? Like I just like, as a person with a lot of hair, I'm always really kind of like, oh man, I don't want to lose my hair someday.
I think it'd be great to be a guy with a bald, like the Costanza.
Yeah, man.
It's just such a great look.
Yeah. So here, as my friend, if I'm ever, if I'm balding and I'm just trying to cover it up, maybe one day you just tell me like, hey man, it's time to let it go.
Or just play into it. Don't cover it up, but just like be the guy that doesn't have hair on the top of his head, but has these long, stringy hairs on the side.
Yeah, man. But it's just like, I want you to be honest with me someday. If I start losing my hair, just tell me if it's time to let it go or not,
Yeah. So Stacy Keach, he goes to like a hairdresser, at first to try and get it styled in a way. No cutting. Just styled.
He's like, no, you just need to cut it, man.
Yeah.
Like own it. I can't give you your hair back. And his hairdresser is notably a man with long, luscious locks.
Yeah, and there's a great moment where when after he gets his hairstyle, he goes outside and you see all those guys. One of them is Greg Nicotero, the guy with the dog, with the long hair.
Yeah, and this is the part of it where I'm like, this is almost my favorite one of the bunch, where it plays the Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young song, the almost cut my hair. And I like, there's just so much comedy in that moment of that song kicking in and him just like enviously looking at all these people with their hair.
The dog.
Well, he's got this like ridiculous comb over going on. Even the dog has these long, luscious locks. And like this is where I'm like, this is really funny, and like Stacy Keach is doing such an excellent job at like playing into the comedy of it, I think, within this moment. But like, yeah, all in all, like my favorite moment from the entire anthology is that little needle drop scene. Like that scene is so funny to me.
And I suppose we should mention that he's been seeing these ads on television.
Well, yes, he sees the ad after this moment where he goes back, and this is when he paints his head.
Yeah.
But he ends up seeing an ad for a new doctor after his lady comes in and is like, quit painting your head, look like a jackass. She like kisses the top of his head after. Yeah. Gets black paint all over her mouth. And then she gets mad at him because he's got like all these products on the counter of like trying to get his hair back. And he's like, I think we should take a break for a while, which is like, yeah, maybe he needs to let it go. But like, I feel like you're really playing into his insecurities here now by being like, I can't deal with you anymore. Yeah. I'm leaving.
Too bad he didn't have Keeps.
Yeah, I mean,
Keeps sponsor us.
Yeah, or like for Hims, maybe. Yeah, maybe he just needed some Blue Chew. I don't know. Come on, for Hims. Yeah. If you need to get a rock hard boner at any time, take for Hims, man. Get that Blue Chew. Fucking. Yeah. I don't care if you're 22 years old. You can't get it up. Go ahead, man.
Blue Chew.
Blue Chew. Pay us money. We will talk about your boner pills.
MeUndies.
Raid, Shadow Legends. Who else?
Yeah.
All of those guys. Yeah, anyways, so he goes to this experimental doctor guy.
Yeah.
And this guy's like, we can give you your hair back, but you're going to become a different person. Yeah. I don't know if you're the right candidate for this.
What's the hair he chooses? The stud? Or
it's the stallion.
The stallion.
He chooses these long flowing locks, which look fucking hilarious on Stacy Keach. But he's like through there, and like the nurse comes in. It's like, oh no, he can handle it. He's gonna look sexy with it. She's like really coming on to him strong. And they're going through all the possible hairs you can have. He's like, no. And then it gets to the one that's like, longer than my hair now, like down to his ass, basically.
Yeah.
He's like, that's the one. That's the one for me. He's like, I'm gonna have the hair I always wanted but never had. It's not to the point where he just wants to get the hair he had back. Like he needs more hair.
And it keeps growing.
And it keeps on growing. This is when he gets back. He has to bandage his head for the first night.
Yeah, the reveal.
Then he wakes up and unwraps it, and he's just got these long flowing locks. Like you can see after he gets up, the wrap on his head has like doubled. His head is longer now underneath of it. And he's just like, oh my God, I've got hair. And his lady comes back, and she's like, oh my God, your hair is incredible. And then they fuck hard, and they fuck all night, and he wakes up and his hair's grown 6 inches.
Yeah.
And he's got an itch in his throat.
He's got an itch. Yeah. He's got to go to the hairdresser, and the hairdresser, does a little trim. Everybody at the salon is like, oh my God, look at that hair.
Yeah. Everybody's really like, oh, Stacy Keach.
But we see the hair drop on the floor, and then it
starts inching away like a little worm.
You're like, wait a minute, what's going on
here? We do. It might be before that where he's like looking in the mirror where he opens his mouth, and we see the little hair come up and like peek around.
Yeah.
And then go back down. But yeah, something's not right with this hair. So he goes back. After this, he goes to the hairdresser. Like we see a little montage, I think, and he's like growing hair all out from his face now, and he's like canceling dates with his lady. He's like, I really don't feel good. He starts to look like Bigfoot, and he goes back to the experimental hair facility, and so it turns out that these guys have little worm aliens that look like hairs that are inside of their brains.
That are feeding off their brains.
Feeding off their brains and controlling them. And like now he's going to become part of their, I don't know if they're like a hive mind or what.
I think they're a hive mind. It's like they found the perfect cover of like.
Yeah, we're just going to like get insecure people. Yeah. Because we kind of look like people's hair. So we're going to like replace their hair as a way to get closer to their brains so we can feed off of them.
And we see some nice close-ups of the little stop-motion worms.
Those little stop-motion worms look cool, but it is to me like where the whole thing falls apart.
Yeah.
Of like, I enjoyed the comedy of this man getting his long hair and not having the hair, but then like I don't know if this was the way to take it.
I think it's the best way to take it. I mean, where else would you even want it to
I don't
go,
know. I don't know. I do just think it is where like it is the reason it's not my favorite of the bunch, even though it very well could have been. Like it's so much my sensibility of like the kind of thing I love watching, and I do love Little Worm Aliens too. I just feel like it's a messy. There's a messiness in there.
It's a little. It's like 20 minutes, 25 minutes of all the setup, and then it's like 5 minutes
it's
of
like,
here are the worms.
I think what to me watching it is I want a feature length version of that movie.
Yeah.
I want Stacy Keach losing his mind. Like I want to see him at his height where he has hair. I want to see him start losing his hair and the lengths he's going to get his hair back, you know?
Let's get the rights.
Very much like, you know, it could be like The Substance, you know, the Substance style about a man who's losing his hair.
Not bad.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
I love how the end is just them being like, "Yep, this is what's happening," and then it just ends on his head.
And it just ends.
And then John Carpenter, we go back to him, and he's like, "Yeah, he jumped off a building, killed himself."
Yeah, because right before that, he does like hold up the baggie of the guy's face. He's like, "This was a whole man once. He jumped out of a window, got hit by a train." It's like, what like high rise did he jump out of that was right by a train? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, it's good. I really like this one.
I like it a lot too. Like I said, it's like this close to being my favorite of the bunch. So,
and then we get to the last one, which is my favorite.
Directed by
Tobe Hooper.
Tobe Hooper of Poltergeist and Texas Chainsaw Massacre fame.
Yep, and this is The Eye.
The Eye.
And
we have a Mark Hamill looking probably as good as he ever has.
Mark Hamill is really good in this.
Yeah, I think so too.
And I think I want to see a feature of this, but with Mark Hamill in that time period, which will never happen. But it's cool that he's like a minor league baseball player. Like you don't really see that often, you know, or ever really. And basically he leaves
practice. It's late and it's raining.
Yeah. Gets in a car accident.
He goes to change his cassette tape.
Yeah.
You know, even before phones, there were dangers of distraction on the road. Maybe you needed to change your cassette tape.
Maybe you needed to light your cigarette.
Maybe you needed to unscrew your flask.
Or smack your child in the back seat.
I mean, there's many things that could lead to distracted driving accidents before phones, okay? So phones aren't the major cause. They're certainly not helping, but...
I saw a guy... watching TikToks while he was driving the other day.
Yeah, I've noticed an uptick of sometimes I see people literally like with their phones and like the holders that you'd use for a GPS with just like TikTok playing.
Yeah, and they're just like driving and they're just swiping.
Yeah, it's like, dude.
Yeah, experience your life. Like just look at the road and stare blankly for a few minutes.
I'm the first person to admit that maybe I spend too much time on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
You don't gotta do that shit while you're driving. There's a lot of other stuff you need to pay attention to while you're driving.
You know what's great? Getting away from the noise and driving your car in complete silence and just staring off.
Want a break from the ads?
For real, we're getting advertised constantly.
100%. We could do a whole fucking horror anthology about how ads are trying to kill you while you're driving.
So he gets in a car wreck.
Yeah, there's a deer and he swerves.
These people pull up and they're like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And he's got a big shard of glass in his eye.
Just a little windshield to the window of his soul. You know?
He goes to the hospital and they're like, "Sorry, we got to take your eye." Yeah. He's like, "I'm a baseball player.
He's like, I can't play without my eye.
I'm a baseball player. I need my eye."
And it's like, okay, here's the thing. I get that it messes with his depth perception and all that. And you know, as a man who's never lost an eye before, though, like, is it impossible to like train your depth perception again, like with your one eye? Or?
Well, I mean, throwing and catching would probably be the hardest thing to to adapt to with one eye.
I was just like, I mean, he didn't lose a hand, Like,
I mean, there's probably, if you look at, I don't know a ton about baseball, but
you're telling me there hasn't been a baseball player who had one eye
That's
before?
what I was going to say. Like
come on.
Back then, I'm sure there was.
I feel like there had to have been, but maybe not. I don't know. Like, I understand that, like, losing an eye can affect you in really big ways as far as, like, not knowing where stuff is at anymore.
Yeah. So they say, look, we have an eye that we can give you.
Yeah, there's the experimental doctor who comes in.
Who's Roger Corman.
Okay.
Who, produced Carnosaur that we just watched.
Yeah, a lot of big guys in here. A lot of big horror guys in these anthologies that pop up that, I'm glad you're pointing this out to me because I didn't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, he comes in, he's like, I think this could work. I think we could take this eye from this cadaver and plant it in your head. And it's a brown eye. It's not a blue eye like yours.
But we got a contact you can wear.
Yeah. And the other doctor is like, I don't think this shit's going to work, but you're welcome to try it. It's experimental, but at the end of the day, it's your eye and you can decide.
And so he talks to his wife and they're like, yeah, let's go for it. Let's do this procedure.
Yeah, and then there's that gnarly procedure scene of him getting the eye.
It's nasty.
Yeah, they got like his eye socket held open. It's all bloody and
eye stuff
is gross.
Yeah.
Anytime there's eye stuff in a horror movie, it really does get to me a little bit.
Yeah, I always think of the eye thing in Evil Dead in the remake.
Yeah,
with the needle.
Yeah, that's gnarly. There's another one. It's not a great movie, but Brightburn, there's one where there's like glass going into an eye close up. That's really gnarly.
Is that the Superman horror film? I never saw that.
And there's another part where this dude's driving and the kid drops his car and the dude's jaw like hits the steering wheel and his entire bottom jaw is like ripped off. That
happened to my grandpa.
Is gnarly.
That's how he lost his teeth. He he was driving a truck, got in a car accident, hit his steering wheel, and he lost all of his teeth. So like dentures.
Nuts.
He used to chase me around with his dentures when I was a kid. Because it was so freaky, dude, when I was a little kid, and he'd be pop them out and then chase me around with them.
Oh, my teeth are hungry.
For real.
Yeah. But yeah, there's that whole scene of him getting the new eye is pretty gnarly. And he wakes up from the procedure and he's there with his wife and they put an eye patch over his good eye and he's got kind of a wrap over the other one. You're like, all right, the blurriness should go away within a couple weeks. But then like the moment of truth comes and they uncover his eye. And I think he says to his wife, after a minute, he's like, your hair looks good like that, like, so it's like that moment of like, okay, we know he can see out of this eye that's not his anymore. It's like this miraculous thing. And we see from his point of view, like it's just smudges, but and then it also like they have like those, the contact in where it's got his like whole entire eye is red other than the brown pupil. Cool. And like there's bruising around his eye socket and stuff. It is like, oh man, menacing. You're just like imagining how fucking bad it hurts probably.
Yeah, and it looks so nasty.
Yeah.
Evil right away.
Evil right away. You like know like, oh, okay, something's gonna be fucked up with this eye.
I like the detail because obviously Mark Hamill has blue eyes, right? I like when he gets his contact, how it's like a darker blue.
Yeah, it's not the same shade of blue.
Like that's a nice little detail that it wouldn't be perfect being over a brown eye,
Yeah, it's I like because they very easily could have just been like, we found a guy who had the same color eye as you.
Yeah.
And just like not spent the time to do all that. But it's a really cool kind of conceptual thing of like, now that you're kind of looking from another man's eye.
Yeah.
And it kind of, the first night he gets back, like unsettles his wife. And like, she's like, I can't like have sex with you tonight. Like,
and he's like, but I'm so horny.
Yeah, but I'm so horny, dude. And he's like, would it help if I put the contact in? There's that whole thing. Now before that though, she does, because she said she had a gift for him before he got in the car accident. And when he gets back the gift, he walks in and finds out that his wife is pregnant.
Yeah.
And there's a crib he's got to put together.
Yeah.
She's like, this gift's for you to put together.
To Dad.
Yeah.
From Mom.
To Dad from now. What the hell?
Yeah.
And he's, he's pretty frightened about it, it seems. He's,
yeah.
Doesn't know I don't think he knows if he's ready to be a dad.
But he's ready to fuck.
And his wife is not, and he should respect that. But,
yeah. And she's like, okay, he puts in the contact and they start fooling around. She's like, the shades are open. He goes over there and then a woman's body coming out from the ground, and he's like getting these headaches and flashes.
There's at least one more before that. He does have like a little vision before they leave the hospital, right? With his new eye. We kind of start to see that this eye is fucking with him a little bit.
I think it's just a little bit of flashing, but I think that's the first moment you see
something in the hospital at first, a little bit. Like he starts to get the headaches and stuff.
Yeah. So, they don't fuck.
No. And it's the next day then. He's got some yard work he needs to do, and his wife's off. She's out of the home, and he's got to build that crib and do the yard work.
When he's building the crib.
In the morning, he kind of snaps at his wife, and she's like, why are you yelling at me? He's like, I'm sorry. Did I yell? Like there's something kind of taking over him at this point. We get the sense that this eye he has is fucking with his perception of the world. And it's like the whole thing kind of boils down to the whole, the eye is the window of the soul thing of like, you get this man's eye, maybe you also inherit a part of his soul. Yeah. And there's the part where he's building the crib. Right?
Well, when he's in the kitchen, he puts his eggs down the disposal, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then there's a flash and he sees an arm in the disposal, like turning around. He's like freaking out, and then it goes away, and he reaches
his hand into the disposal, which first of all, I'm like, 101, don't fucking dig your hand into the disposal in a horror movie. I was like waiting for it to turn back on or something.
Yeah.
But no, he just pulls some eggs out of there. He's like, oh man,
what the hell's going on?
What the hell's going on?
He, it would be really freaky to have someone else's eye in your head, because
I think so
when you
too.
look at somebody and you look at their eyes, like that's them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you had someone else's eyes, would you still see that person?
Yeah.
It is really an interesting question. I don't know if like this surgery actually exists.
Yeah.
Like cadaver eyes. My guess is probably no. That seems
I don't know. There's so many organs you can transplant.
Yeah.
They're like, if they haven't done eye yet, they're working on eye, right? I mean, but it is a weird thing. I think, especially as somebody who knows and loves somebody, to like then be kind of looking at a different person.
Yeah.
And like to his wife's point, like you see why she's kind of struggling to have any kind of intimacy with him.
Yeah.
When he gets home. But there's, he keeps having these terrible, terrible visions of dismembered body parts and like people buried in the yard. But his wife gets back home and he shows her that he's started building the crib. He's just got to put the sides on. Yeah.
This is a great like transitionary cut where he's behind the crib and then like it's him as a baby as the guy's eye, and the mother like puts a cigarette out on him and he freaks out. That's a great moment.
We're like seeing the memories of this dead man that the eye is, and we're getting the sense that maybe this guy's eye is from somebody bad.
And so later that night, this is when they're getting frisky.
Yeah. And Hamill takes it a little too far, okay? He totally sexually assaults his wife.
Yeah. Well, he sees her as a dead body.
Yeah, and he starts going harder.
Yeah, he likes that.
And we're not really sure why, because up until this point, it doesn't seem like the guy who wants to fuck a dead body.
Yeah.
But it's a really uncomfortable scene.
And he bites her.
Yeah, because his wife is like telling him to stop, and he just is ravenous. And this is the scene where we see Mark Hamill's entire taint and balls.
His ass too.
His ass.
I mean, you can't see the taint and balls without seeing the ass.
No, I mean, if you're seeing somebody's taint, you're probably seeing somebody's ass. It's just, I think that is the most shocking part of it. It's not often you see somebody's entire taint on screen.
Or their balls, like,
let alone somebody like Mark Hamill, like
Luke Skywalker. And like, it's such a gruesome, like, nasty scene.
Yeah,
you just immediately like, did I just see his balls?
Yeah. It's not something you want to rewind on, and not at all.
And maybe like, I don't know if you like went frame by frame, like, is he wearing like a dance belt or like one of those socks?
I don't know.
Was that his balls or?
Yeah, did Nicotero or Nicoretto come in, give him fake balls, or what? What's going on?
But it looks. I mean, from the few frames that it exists, you do see his balls. You see Luke Skywalker's Death Stars.
Yeah, I think there's one other movie I've watched. I think it was Steve Coogan. There's a scene where he bends over in a movie. I think it's Our Idiot Brother, and just hangs his entire ball sack between his legs.
Yeah,
it's maybe because you were asking me, like, have you seen another movie where an actor just like showed their ass and balls?
Yeah.
Because like, you've heard of hanging dong, but this is a bit different.
I told you have to make a new list now.
Yeah. I think it might be bolder. It might be even bolder than hanging dong on screen. It might be more hardcore than full frontal.
Yeah.
But
full back.
Yeah, butt and balls.
Bare butt and balls.
Bare butt, balls, and back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, it's a really uncomfortable scene, though.
Yeah, it's nasty.
It's not cool. You should not do that.
No, and she's rattled. She's like, "You bit me." Like,
yeah, like drew blood from her shoulder.
Yeah, and he's like, "I don't know what happened." Like, he's losing it.
Yeah.
This wasn't the Mark Hamill we know and love.
No,
this was, this evil.
Yeah,
that's
and
inside of him. He starts reading the Bible after that.
Yep, and he goes and he finds out who the hell's eye he's gotten in his head.
Yeah, and he goes to Roger Corman, and he's like, "Well, it was the serial killer.
He was on death row. He was put down by lethal injection.
Yeah, in the gas chamber or whatever."
Yep. And so then Hamill goes to like the library and starts researching this guy. And turns out this guy killed blondes, much like Hamill's wife.
Tied him by the hair.
Killed him with garden shears.
Yep. Which we've seen him use already.
And then would dismember and try to get rid of them in the garbage disposal.
And he would have sex with their dead bodies.
Which is why in that scene when he sees the dead body, it becomes
He doesn't
aroused.
like it when they get cold, though.
He does not like it when they get cold. Yeah, it's a really gnarly short.
Yeah. And he's reading the Bible, right? Like which is just kind of, it's kind of funny.
Yeah,
he's like, I'm just going to read the Bible a lot.
Yeah.
But there's like that whole scene in the dining room after that where he just goes full Hamill.
Yeah.
He eats a big ham sandwich in the scene, and we're kind of waiting for this to happen. And when it does, like, he just, full on just psycho.
Yeah.
It's great.
His wife gets back and he starts trying to murder her with the garden shears.
Yep.
And he ties her hair to the kitchen table and he's about to kill her with the garden shears, but she's pleading with him,
She said, read the Bible.
And she's like, shows him the Bible and everything and like the signature of his that's like in the cover or whatever.
And he's reading a passage and then he takes the garden shears and stabs his own eye out.
Stabs the new eye that he's got. Stabs it out of his head.
Yeah.
And it shows that Bible verse afterwards, the blood splattered on it of like, if your eye has offended me, you will put that eye out or whatever.
Pluck it from
your head.
Yeah. And cast it from thee.
Yeah. And and he dies from that. because he shoves a pair of garden shears into his brain.
I know, you should have just plucked that eye out.
Just grab a spoon, dig it out.
But I guess,
buddy.
To tie it, you got to have a dead body.
Yeah, it's got to be a dead body at the end. So you got to have that. And also, like, even if he just took the eye out, there's no way his wife ever sees him the same again. And maybe rightfully so.
I mean, what a great... Honestly, just like a great concept.
Yeah, absolutely.
Somebody gets the transplant of a serial killer's eye and sees their killings. Like I want to see a feature length movie.
Like I said, it's another one of them in there where you're like, I kind of wish I had a feature length version of this.
Yeah.
Once again, getting back to the main thing of anthologies being like, when you get a good one, you're like, God, now I just want to see like what the actual movie version of this is.
Yeah, and I mean, we don't have like many Mark Hamill performances.
No, I so famously have not watched the original Star Wars trilogy.
Right.
I have gotten about 20 minutes into A New Hope. Couldn't get into it.
You had no hope.
I had no hope. I think Mark Hamill is noticeably bad in that movie.
Well, he's just a boy.
Well, he's just a boy who is now a man.
Yeah.
This is nothing against Mark Hamill because I do like him and stuff. I enjoy some of his work. Particularly in Blunt Man and Chronic, I think he's he's pretty good in that movie.
Yeah. The Cock Knocker.
The Cock Knocker. It may be Mark Hamill's best performance.
Yep.
Again, I think he's really good in this one. We get to see a mustachioed Mark Hamill,
a nice Midwestern boy.
Yeah, he's just a nice Midwestern boy.
And he just wants to play baseball and raise a family.
Yeah, man. So, yeah, I like Hamill in this. I like this one. I'm not sure if it's my favorite of the bunch. I was kind of running it over in my head of like which one. And I think for me, it is the second one, even though I think that landing doesn't exactly stick. I think that one is just really comedically plays to my sensibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like...
Yeah, I like the eye because it's twisted and funny.
It's fucked up and twisted.
Fucked up and just fucking twisted.
Cue the fucking metal guitars.
Yeah.
Maybe some Joker quotes. Put some Joker quotes on screen.
Yeah, Mark Hamill is the Joker.
Yeah, so. Mark Hamill is the Joker, and he lives in a society where, you take a one-eyed baseball player and you put a new eye in his head and abandon him and treat him like trash.
I mean, Mark Hamill, our greatest Joker.
I think it's probably Jared Leto.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's probably Leto. Leto's probably the best one.
Or what the guy from Batman 66?
Yeah, it's Cesar Romero.
Cesar Romero. Yeah. The mustache.
He's pretty good because he just painted over his mustache. Yeah. That thing is pretty cool.
He wasn't shaving that shit.
Yeah, fuck no, dude. I'm not getting rid of my mustache. I'll be your Joker. Don't you dare touch my fucking mustache.
I mean, that's surfing Joker.
Yeah, surfing Joker. Well, that's who we're getting in the Batman Part 2, don't you know?
Barry, what's his name? Barry Keoghan?
Barry. How do you say it?
I think it's Keoghan.
Yeah, or just like Barry Keoghan. I don't know.
It's like
fucking Irish people.
Yeah, that's the thing. You got to say Irish. It's like Keoghan. Hi,
Saoirse Ronan.
Oh, Barry Keoghan.
Irish people, we love you. We like you way better than British people. I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, I mean, I got Irish in me, so.
There's an Irishman in you?
Yeah, there's a little. Let
him out.
That's you know what that is from, right?
That feels like I've seen that in The Simpsons, but I don't know if did that originate there?
Well, that's like the
Yeah.
That's my reference of that.
There's a little leprechaun that tells Ralph to burn things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, tune in next week when we talk about.
Well, we got
season 1 of The Simpsons.
So after this whole thing, we go back to the mortician, and somebody's coming.
Yeah. He's like, "Well, guys, it's time for me to go."
And you're like, "Oh wait, this is a dead guy."
He gets back in onto a fucking mortician table,
Yeah.
zips himself back up into a bag.
And then what's his face? Who's that guy? Tom Arnold?
No, it's not Time. Who the fuck?
It's Tom Arnold. Yeah. Tom Arnold's
Oh,
the
yeah.
guy that
You're
comes
right.
down.
You're right. Sorry, I was thinking of
It's Tom Arnold and Tobe Hooper, I think.
Tom Arnold. Yeah.
Tom Arnold
as man number 1.
Yep.
Tobe Hooper as man number 2.
And they come down, and they're the real morticians.
Yep.
And then they start cutting up John Carpenter.
Yep. They open him up, and he peeks and stuff. There's some like really funny like little physical comedy bits in there.
He's so good.
I know. Like when you told me that he hated doing this, I'm like, that does not show on screen at all. Like it looks like he's having a complete blast.
I mean, if this went to series and we just had like more of Carpenter just playing this up, I mean, like at post Body Bags, he does In the Mouth of Madness, and he does, Village of the Damned, which I haven't seen that one. I've been meaning to watch that one.
Those both are Carpenter blind spots for me. I am In the Mouth of Madness is one of the few left that I'm excited to check out.
Yeah.
That one and like Christine.
Oh, Christine's
good,
yeah.
But I feel like I'm running out of good Carpenter.
Well, so am I, brother, because the only ones I have left are Memoirs of an Invisible Man in the Ward.
Oh boy.
So,
to be clear, we both are massive fans of our boy John Carpenter, but
I
don't know exactly. I think he just lost his spark late in his career due to people like Chevy Chase.
Yeah, and just getting a bad deal all the time, like Body Bags, for instance.
Talk about a raw deal.
Yeah, Carpenter. I mean, he's doing good now. He's smoking weed, playing basketball video games.
And he's playing like Fallout 76.
Assassin's
He's a big
Creed.
fan. He loves Assassin's Creed. I would love for John Carpenter to come back to directing, but I totally support his plan to smoke weed, play video games, and every once in a while come and score a movie. There was actually, who was it he was talking to recently? And Bong Joon-ho. There was an interview that he did with Bong Joon-ho where Bong asked him if he would score his next movie.
Yeah, I saw that.
And Carpenter said yes. So I hope that we get to see a Bong Joon-ho horror movie scored by Carpenter. I think that would be awesome.
I mean, Blumhouse, just give Carpenter some money to make another movie.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Drag him out of his house.
Make him do stuff. Don't let him direct from home.
Don't let The Ward be his last movie.
Oh, please. I
mean, Carpenter for me is as big as like Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
In my childhood, like he is one of the reasons why I wanted to make movies, like because of his films.
I came to him a lot later than you. Like once again, because of like not watching horror movies until later in my life. But I am Carpenter is possibly absolutely maybe on my Mount Rushmore of directors.
Yeah.
It's a hard list to make of just 4, but Carpenter has a very strong claim up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the Coen brothers are always going to be my number 1, no matter what. I don't think anything's ever going to change that.
Well, that's 2 heads on your Rushmore.
I know, that's 2 heads on my Rushmore, but they take up 1 spot. They're one entity to me. But yeah, it's one of those things that's hard to, whenever you get talking about like what your favorite movies are or like your favorite directors, like there's like a million different answers I could give you because there's a lot of people I love making really good stuff. So
yeah, there's definitely some that have had a bigger influence on me than others.
Yeah.
Like there's the ones that I love, and then there's like Herzog, Lynch, and Carpenter, who are like for sure.
Yeah, once again,
influences.
Lynch is absolutely on my Mount Rushmore now, and I literally, like 2 months before he died, went and watched every single thing he'd ever done for the first time, including all of Twin Peaks, and it like changed my fucking life. So
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, do we have anything else to touch on in either of these movies?
I don't think so. I think this was just a nice little break from talking normal movies. It's cool to just...
normal movies like obviously like Carnosaur and
Basket Case.
Basket Case and brain damage. Just Just, we'll get back into the normal stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So next episode we are going.
I watched the rehearsal.
Oh, you watched the second episode of the rehearsal?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to get into this a little bit.
Yeah.
If you haven't ever watched the rehearsal or any of Nathan Fielder's other stuff, I could not recommend any of it.
Please watch
enough.
all of Nathan For You and then get into the rehearsal.
Yes.
And if you love it, watch The Curse too. The Curse is
absolutely. This season's going to be insane.
Yeah. I mean, just by the first episode, you're like, whoa.
Yeah, he's getting into like airline, like plane crashes and stuff.
A real issue.
Like doing deep research into it and bringing it to his comedy show.
and
it's like this question that he's raising of like, can he truly make a difference when he's just making a comedy show?
But also the more the series goes on, and it's similar to like How To with John Wilson and like, which he produced, and Nathan For You too, there's moments where you're like, okay, how real is this?
Yeah.
Like how much of this is actually a part of his life and real? How much of it is this character he's playing? How much of this that is portrayed as being real is not real? Like there's this, it's just a wonderful blurred line.
Yeah.
And, this second episode takes that a whole leap forward with the whole Paramount Plus thing.
Yes.
They're Nazis.
Yeah, he portrays Paramount Plus Germany as Nazis because they removed an episode of his show Nathan For You from their platform.
Yeah. That was all about people denying the Holocaust.
Yes, deny nothing. Go get yourself some Summit Ice gear. This was he like goes into the fact that it was during a time where he had just made a television series for Paramount Plus with The Curse.
Yeah,
hadn't yet been renewed or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it's anything that needed a second season, because that is a perfectly contained thing on its own.
Yeah,
but in just like this whole first two episodes have been about conflict and how we as people, the lengths we'll go to avoid conflict, or to kind of spin a conflict in our way by kind of being passive. And he like goes back through his emails between him and Paramount Plus with an actor playing him of like, here's where I was. I remember being in the shower and thinking about this. And he's just like standing in the corner while this actor is in the shower. There's just like so many great things like that in the rehearsal of like him just standing in the corner somewhere while somebody's doing something. And like that to me is just, I mean, if that's not what being a director is like,
right?
You're like, here's this thing I've created, and now I just have to like watch somebody perform what I've put here.
I mean, and just like when you're like the moment when you're directing something and you get like some real emotion out of somebody too, like that feeling that you get, that's like, you kind of feel wrong for making somebody do that, but then you're also like delighted that this is coming to life.
Yeah, there's a juice to it.
But it's like, it does, like we get to visualize that with this show. Like him, like just standing there and just like soaking in, and how weird and like kind of uncomfortable it is from somebody watching that from an outside perspective,
Right.
But Nathan Fielder, he might just be a genius.
Yeah, I absolutely am ready to jump on that. I've been ready to jump on that wagon ever since just watching Nathan For You.
I mean, the first season, the rehearsal is incredible.
Oh, yeah.
The way that evolves into something like personal to him is... Or what seems personal. See, I don't know.
We don't know. Nathan Fielder as a person is impossible to pin down.
Yeah.
Because that to a certain extent there is a character he's playing.
Yeah.
But like it's that moment of him and Nathan For You in the gas station where the guy's telling him that, sometimes you have to drink your grandson's pee if you feel scared. And like it's like one of the only times throughout that show where like you see him almost break character.
Yeah.
He's just like, what? And there's like a man just confessing to him on camera that like he drinks his grandson's pee. He's
like, yeah, ask your grandma.
You get the strangest fucking interactions on the planet, and like you don't know what to believe. It's everything he's done is like to some extent this deconstruction of reality, like current reality TV, but in a way that makes you question anything, if anything is real. Like,
yeah.
I think that's his intent, but it's maybe the most interesting, compelling television of the past decade.
Yeah, consistently.
Yeah,
and I think I'm excited for one to see how this plays out, within real life and the show, because like, is Paramount Plus like involved in this?
Yeah,
are they not? Like what kind of repercussions does this have, if any, if this is all, fictional? Because it's something that he like talks about within the show too, like that this, like he's very forthcoming with the people that are on the show, like, oh, this singing competition isn't a real competition, it's for another show.
Yeah,
and kind of like that.
There's that moment in this second episode where he's trying to figure out how to be a likable person in an argument, and he like has this really real moment with this girl who comes in audition, and he's like telling her like, you are going to make it because you got out of bed and you came in here and you did this and you have talent, and you're not what we're looking for right now, but you have talent.
Yeah.
And then he goes out and checks the box.
It's a 6.
And it's a 6. Or is it a 9? He like flips it around, and it's like, I don't know. It's this whole thing on perception that like is just, I don't know. There's so many like weird, compelling questions that are brought to the forefront in this silly fucking comedy show.
Yeah. And you have to wonder, like, because of how reality shows work, like, and within editing, like, are these reactions real?
Right.
Is this a natural conversation? Are they picking certain things and taking them out of context to fit the narrative, like what like Matt Johnson does with Nirvana the band, the show?
Oh yeah,
like trying to get people just to say something specific so you can involve it in your narrative.
Yep.
And kind of twist things to seem like they were from a different point, or just to fit that narrative flow. And I'm sure Nathan Fielder does a similar thing, but
absolutely,
a lot of the times it just like it's so seamless. Like I don't know what's real and what's not real.
No, it's
and same with How To with John Wilson, which is
that's one I've been meaning to. I think I watched the first episode of it or something, but I need to get into that one.
Yeah, that's very similar in that way where it's like, am I seeing something real?
Yeah,
but also not. Like when they were talking about on the rehearsal, like when he was talking to the person with United Airlines, I think, and they were like, well, is this a documentary? And he's like, well, it's a comedy show, but we're trying to be sincere. And she's like, well, what's trying to be? Like,
yeah,
it's like, what
he's
really...
like, I have to deliver something that is funny to HBO because this is a comedy series.
It's entertainment.
But I would like to be sincere.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's so good. Please, everybody, check out Nathan Fielder's stuff. Like I said, he's made some of the most compelling television of the past decade.
Yeah, there's nothing like it.
For real. Yeah. The Rehearsal.
Great. The Rehearsal, great, amazing. I can't wait to see how this plays out.
Oh, me neither. I'm like itching for every Sunday to roll by so that I can watch it. I've been meaning to watch The Last of Us episode 3 too, and I just haven't yet because I can't stop thinking about The Rehearsal. But
yeah, it is that thing. Like The Last of Us is a monumental television show that's happening, but also like The Rehearsal is really good.
Yeah, man, it's so.
The Last of Us is good too. Episode 3 was great. Things are just gonna get horrible from here on out.
Yeah. I have been having a small complaint with season 2, and I think maybe it's because of the writer's strike that happened, but I've noticed there's a lot of times where characters are straight out just spelling out their emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that's not what the whole season is like.
Yeah, I haven't bumped into that
Yeah.
personally, but I think it's great.
Yeah.
It's great television.
It is. This isn't to diminish it at all. I do think it's great television. It's just I don't know. It was weird to me when that first episode opens up and Joel is like, I get that he's like working on himself and stuff and is like trying to change as a person, but like it's like he's a completely different person at that point.
Yeah.
In a weird way that like I'm not sure that he needed to be like so, like when he's at that table with Dina and he's just like, I don't know, Ellie's not talking to me. It's because of this and this and that. And it's like, I don't know. We probably could have cut down on some of that explanation a little bit and just been like, I don't know why she's mad at me.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, it's a good show. It's a great show. It's
a great show.
It's well acted across the board.
Yeah.
And haters are going to hate.
Haters are going to hate. Anything that's popular, it's going to get, knocked down a few pegs because of it.
Yeah, and I'm one of those people that was a huge fan of the second game, and there's a lot of people that fucking hate that game, so...
I love the game, I just never finish it because it's so goddamn long.
I finished it in about 4 days. Speaking of which, when we get done here, I might go play Oblivion until 4 a.m. I don't know.
Yeah, what time is it?
Yeah,
it's after midnight. It's like 12:40 right now.
Yeah. Anyways,
Creepshow, Body Bags.
Creepshow, Body Bags.
Both good.
Both great stuff.
If
you didn't watch them and you listened to the episode, hopefully you got some enjoyment out of it.
If you have kids, make sure they see Creepshow. Because it's a great, Creepshow is the perfect horror film to show a kid because it's edgy and violent enough that like they feel like they're getting away with something, but it's still like, I think it's goofy.
I think another great example of that are the Gremlins films.
Yeah, which are directly kids movies.
But, yeah, they are, but they're like horror. They're horror movies for kids. Yeah, like very much so.
Same with It. Like if It came out when I was like 12, I mean, forget about it.
Forget about it.
Chapter 2 sucks though. Sorry.
Yeah, I wanted to like that movie when it came out, and I think I tricked myself into liking it for a little bit, but it's bad, and I wish I love Bill Hader so much.
Yeah.
I think he's a great talent. Barry, another of my favorite shows of the past decade. Yeah. Fantastic stuff. Anyways, we can't keep talking about HBO series. Tune in next week. We are going to talk about a couple of Elmore Leonard adaptations.
Yeah.
We have Get Shorty, starring none other than my favorite guy on the planet, Danny DeVito.
And Gene Hackman and John
the
Travolta.
Hackman, Rip Hackman, and John Travolta. And also Jackie Brown.
Yeah, Get Shorty, directed by Barry Sonnenfeld.
Yes,
and, my buddy Barry Sonnenfeld.
Your buddy Barry Sonnenfeld, you met him. And then Jackie Brown. I think my only Tarantino blind spot at this point. So
one of my favorite Tarantino movies.
It'll be interesting for me to see it for the first time.
Excited for you to finally watch it. Tune in next week or don't. Go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself.
As always, Bedelia, where's my cake, you bitch?
And who watches the watch list? Seriously, we want to know.
Seriously, comment below. If you got this far, comment below, something.
Like, subscribe, comment. Like I said, please give us ideas of double features to do. There's only so many we can come up with by ourselves here.
Or do or don't.
Or don't. Or go fuck yourself.
Or most importantly, if you're still watching this, go fuck yourself.
And your mom's a whore.
Yep. All right. Good night, everybody.